This is embarrassing.
I just wonder when the NHL will actually pull the plug on this disaster in the desert.
Photos of the homeroom circulated on Twitter, and it looks like Jack McBain doesn't even have a shelf in his locker. Meanwhile, the away team's locker is being held up by curtains.
This whole Arizona Coyotes situation is such an embarrassment for the NHL.
These have been the talking points and the sentiment towards the Arizona Coyotes for this summer. And to be honest, for almost a decade now. When these videos surfaced of a makeshift locker room being prepared for NHL visiting teams when playing the Coyotes in the new ASU Mullet Arena, it just felt like another kick in the balls to an already brutal offseason for the Coyotes. These videos were released by the Phoenix Sports Podcast on Twitter and immediately led to the piling on and clowning of the Coyotes organization. Now, while the Phoenix Sports Podcast tried to put these images in context, and rightfully saying it is a temporary fix for the first 4 games, in the same video they admitted that they knew what the national narrative was going to be from the videos. They knew they were going to be met by the shit posters, the memers, but they released it anyway. And now I ask, why?
Now, what I should have said was nothing.
Why release the videos at all? The Phoenix Sports Podcast clearly cares about the Coyotes. They want them to thrive in the Valley. They sell Coyotes-themed merchandise. But I don't see any upside from releasing these videos. You knew ahead of time it was not going to shed a positive light on a already shitty situation. And it just seems like a short-sighted attempt for views. And I get it, I understand the quest for views. I mean, I myself used a very ominous and gloomy looking thumbnail. But I'm also not breaking the news, I'm just commenting on it. Speaking of short-sighted decisions that lead to negative outcomes, let's talk about the Coyotes. After a very long and drawn-out process, the divorce between the Coyotes and the city of Glendale is finally official. And like a recently divorced middle-aged man, the Coyotes have signed a minimum of 3-year lease in a studio apartment known as ASU's new Mullet Arena. On the surface, the Coyotes situation does look pretty bad. Their ex-Glendale got to keep the house in the settlement. Their new home of Mullet Arena has a capacity of 5,000 seats. No NHL team has ever played in an arena with a capacity of less than 10,000 since 1983. And no NHL team has ever played consistently in an arena with less than 5,000 seats since the 1930-31 season. It's no secret that the Coyotes are in the middle of a very long-term rebuilding mode. After trading away Darcy Kemper and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and a slew of other trades, the Coyotes have set themselves up with a ton of future draft picks, which means the product on the ice is gonna suffer, which is just another element in this perfect shitstorm that is the Coyotes. But the Mullet Arena situation has some upsides. It's not like the Coyotes are going into a rundown old stadium for the time being. This is a brand new, state-of-the-art college facility. Sure, the Coyotes had to upgrade it to NHL standards, but the Coyotes will have an opportunity to play in an atmosphere that they haven't seen since the novelty of desert hockey came here in 1996. An intimate setting, no nosebleeds, no bad seats, and a potentially raucous atmosphere. I was intrigued, and I wanted in. So I pulled out my phone, opened the Ticketmaster app, went to that night's game against the Florida Panthers, and oh my god, these ticket prices are insane. Even with my ASU education, I understand the concept of supply and demand. Supply, there's only 5,000 seats. Demand is there's interest in seeing a sellout NHL game with 5,000 seats. So I bit the bullet, knowing that there is no bad seats. And for $20 more, I could sit 3 rows from the ice. So I pulled the trigger. With the digital tickets downloaded on my phone, my girlfriend and I headed off towards Mullet Arena for what she thought was going to be a cute date. But nah, lady, this just became a business trip. Hope you're ready to help me shoot some B-roll. First things first, let's start with parking. Parking was an unmitigated disaster. You had 3 different streets funneling into one intersection with a seemingly indifferent and unaware parking attendants that did little to alleviate the situation. Another issue I saw was a lot of rideshare drivers were adding to the congestion, and once their passengers were sick of the waiting, they would just jump out of the back of the car and walk the remaining way, while the driver would continue to sit in the traffic or try to make an Austin Powers 15-point turn to head to their next ride. This gave me an idea. If the Coyotes had an official rideshare partner, they could easily create an ultra-convenient pickup and drop-off lane that would make the headache of parking completely disappear. When I was finally able to park, it was $30. I could have literally taken a Lyft to and from the game and almost had enough money left over for a beer than to pay $30 for parking. On the walk from the parking garage to the arena, I talked to a couple season ticket holders, one of which was so frustrated he was literally crafting an email to his ticket representative. So not the greatest start. But once inside the arena, there was definitely a very unique energy. The only way I can describe it is when a band that usually plays stadiums does a surprise pop-up show at a small, intimate music venue. But this is the Coyotes, so that band is Nickelback. Small, passionate fan base, butt of every joke. Oh god, are the Coyotes the Nickelback of the NHL? But anyways, back to Mullet Arena. The first thing I noticed walking through was the food options were way better than the generic stadium food they had at Gila River. With Arizona's local sports bar chain Cold Beers and Cheeseburgers, and a popular pizza place in Venanzia's, the food options are infinitely better than they were. Just don't go during the intermissions because the lines are long and the aisles at the top of the sections are tight. Like really tight. When we finally got to our seats, they were pretty awesome. And sitting in them reminded me that I've never seen hockey from this close. And in my opinion, hockey is the best sport to go see live. I firmly believe that if you want to be considered a legitimate sports town, you need all 4 major sports. So keeping the Yotes in Arizona should be a top priority for all Arizona sports fans. So after a fairly uneventful first period, I took a walk around the arena to explore and talk to a few friends who work there to see if I could learn some new information, and if I could see anywhere where the Coyotes could improve to make the Mullet Arena the most unique and fun arena in the NHL. Again, the Coyotes are in the beginning to middle stages of yet another roster rebuild, and to start the 2022-23 season, they will be playing 20 of their first 24 regular season games on the road. Now this is likely due to finishing the construction needed to get Mullet Arena up to NHL standards, but it's absolutely brutal to start the season this way for on-ice performance. And due to the rebuild, the Coyotes weren't expected to compete much this year, but starting on a month-and-a-half road trip nearly guarantees failure.
Well, hey, Coach, what's going on here, man? What about me?
Coyotes. I gave you guys some home games, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
Oh, well, better luck next year.
So, if you're not going to win on the ice, you need to win online and in the stands. Winning the war on the social media front can distract fans from struggles on the ice. For example, everyone saw opening night, every seat had a mullet wig. That was probably the most memorable thing that happened. Nobody remembers the Yotes lost the game in overtime, dropping to 2-4-1. The biggest takeaway was the wigs, and the wins by the social and marketing departments. While walking around the concourse, I talked to one of my friends in the game operations department, who told me the Coyotes were trying to create something they called Coyotes U, which is a perfect idea since the Coyotes will foreseeably be playing on a college campus for the next 3 to 4 years. But from my observations at the game, the execution of this idea was lacking. The Coyotes seem to be dipping their toes into the college theme idea when they should be cannonballing into the deep end. This is a prime opportunity to educate your fan base. And this is what I mean by that. The Coyotes could put together video packages to be played on the Jumbotron during intermission to teach fans how to be fans. Howling 101. After goal psychology.
In the third period. Team two! Team four! Hey, goalie! You suck! Control your ball! Control your
history, Coyote fight song. Also, maybe we stay away from economics. But you can use this time at Coyotes U to lay the groundwork for new traditions for when you move into a new building, and create engaging content for if the team isn't doing well on the ice. You can't just start traditions, Rob. Yes you can. What do you think of when I say the Minnesota Vikings? 15-1 and didn't make a Super Bowl. Wasting Randy Moss's prime. Well, yes, that is true. Skull. Yes. The skull chant the Vikings have been doing since the 1970s. Nope, that tradition started in 2016 when they moved into US Bank Stadium. Now, are you gonna hit a home run like that? Probably not. But it is possible to re-educate your fans and start new traditions. And what is college but an indoctrination camp anyway? There is so much potential with this Coyotes U idea. Just go rewatch any 80s college movie for inspiration of parody videos.
Laugh now, because you clowns have been on double secret probation since the beginning of this semester.
Double secret probation?
And that means one more slip-up, one more mistake, and this fraternity of yours has had it at Faber.
Well, that was pleasant. Nice of him to stop by, don't you think?
We've got to do something. He's serious this time. I think he knows about the exams.
He's right.
You're right. We got to do something.
Absolutely.
You know what we got to do? Toga party.
We're on double secret probation, whatever that is. We can't afford to have a toga party.
You guys up for a toga party?
Toga! Toga!
Yeah, I think they like the idea, Hoove.
Oh, Otter, please don't do this.
I got news for you, pal. They're gonna nail us no matter what we do. So we might as well have a good time. Toga, 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 toga,
Oh my God.
The Coyotes could legitimately throw a toga party. The Coyotes regularly have whiteouts. Instead of giving away a white t-shirt, give away a white Coyotes branded toga, and just, it blows my mind. The content you will get out of this alone will be golden. It doesn't even matter if you lose 60 games that season. Who gives a fuck? You threw a toga party at an NHL game. You're starting to see more and more sports teams realize they're more than sports teams. They're content creators, but they have a huge head start because they're sports teams. The Coyotes have an opportunity with Coyotes U to propel themselves to the top of sports team content creators while simultaneously distracting us from the rebuild. I've got other content ideas.
Well, I got a whole page of other ideas.
Like, for example, nothing goes viral faster than when somebody chugs a beer really fast. Think of Aaron Rodgers and David Bakhtiari, or that US Open chick. It might be time to embrace the chug cam. It almost always goes viral when people chug a drink impressively fast, or if a bleacher snake breaks out in the stands. All of these fit the college theme pretty well. Now, I understand it encourages binge drinking, and ASU put the morality clause in the stadium agreement, and I'm sure there's a way to tiptoe around the binge drinking aspect, and maybe combine it with the lift idea from earlier. You take lift to the game, you get a novelty lift cup. In the middle of the second period, when the chug can comes on, you lift your novelty lift cup, chug your drink. Not only do you get fantastic content, you promote designated drivers, boom, positive spin.
This is the best possible job for me. I can literally make anything sound positive.
In terms of in-game entertainment, for the first intermission they had a tricycle race around the rink, and it was underwhelming to say the least. If you're gonna have fans on the ice and no one is getting their shit rocked or busting their ass, I'm not that interested. For the second intermission, they had this cool interactive Coyotes trivia game, but to access this trivia game, you first needed the Coyotes app, then have an account on the app, and they gave you all of about 10 seconds to jump through all these hoops before they started the trivia game. There was a lot of potential with this intermission game. Just make a few announcements in the period before, Throw up a QR code on the Jumbotron that'll take fans to the app where they can download it, create an account so they're ready for the start of it. Then entice people to join in on the game with some cool prizes like a signed puck or poster. And just like that, you have a very fun, engaging game that anyone in the stands can play. The last thing I wanted to say on the college/Coyotes U idea is to have an actual engaged student section. This would be the final touches of the college experience. I was told the Coyotes have official ambassadors to help with the student section efforts, but I didn't see any impact or any trace of them throughout the game. To pull off these big ideas, you can't half-ass it. You need a dedicated team committed to the implication and successful execution to make it a reality. Back to the game that I was there to see. I was curious to see what kind of fan energy we'd have in the 5,000-seat arena. The narrative in the national hockey community is that ice hockey can't succeed in a desert. And the loudest a Coyote fan ever gets is during the t-shirt toss. Which is unfair because everyone goes nuts for the t-shirt toss. Oh, hey Lauren. Going into this game, I was concerned that the Coyotes would be embarrassed in the national media one way or another. There were a lot of factors in play that could help or hurt the Coyotes on this night. One factor working against them was that the Suns were in town playing the Timberwolves, giving Arizona sports fans the choice between the first place Suns or the last place Coyotes. Anything less than a sellout would be an embarrassment for the franchise. But not to worry, these seats would soon be filled. Some good news was they were playing the Florida Panthers, whose fans don't normally travel well. Not to say that they weren't there, they just don't come in the numbers that you see from a Chicago Blackhawks, making it a glorified home game for them. After going down 1-0 in the second period, the energy in the building was down but not out. When Lawson Krause tied it up on his power play goal, the energy was back. The biggest takeaway I had from this game was how hockey literate the Coyotes fans in my section were. I like to consider myself slightly above average in my hockey knowledge. Having only played hockey for a month before quitting in a fairly embarrassing way, but that's a story for another time. The fans in my section were engaged. They knew what was going on. They would get on players when they made mistakes. They would get on the refs when they made mistakes. Sitting in this section made me feel like somebody was unprepared for a test, and I was looking around for everyone else for the answers. Coyotes fans as hockey fans are wildly underrated. The Coyotes fans are unjustly given a terrible reputation solely based on how the organization has been mismanaged for decades. I think a lot of Coyotes fans can read the writing on the wall. They understand that this organization is on life support. And if something isn't done soon, and if there's no plan in place for the future, the Valley will lose the Coyotes, leaving one of the US's largest metro areas without a hockey team, and unfairly labeling the Valley residents as failures as hockey fans. So what are the potential plans for the Coyotes? First, let's look at this map of the Valley. And here's another map, and I'll explain what the colors mean in a second. Now I'll point out every place the Coyotes have called home, starting with their original home in downtown Phoenix at America West Arena. They shared this arena with the Suns from 1996 to 2003. Then it was off to Glendale, playing in their new home, called by many names but eventually Gila River. And now you have the Coyotes' present-day situation playing at ASU's Mullet Arena in North Tempe, with their potential new arena being just down the road in Tempe. Cutting Phoenix directly in half is the appropriately named street Central Avenue. This separates the West Valley from the East Valley. Now let me explain the map you're looking at. It's a representation of the household incomes in the Phoenix area. Blue being the highest, followed by green, which is still above average, yellow, the median, and orange and red being the poorer areas. Now there is a clear and noticeable divide between the East and West Valley. The money is on the east side, which includes cities like Scottsdale, Chandler, Gilbert, and Paradise Valley. Playing in Glendale previously alienated these residents because it's a 40-minute drive minimum, and that's not including driving through downtown rush hour traffic during the week. The NFL's Cardinals can get away with playing in Glendale because they only play 10 games a year and they're always on Sunday. The Coyotes play 4 times as many home games as the Cardinals, and it ranges to nearly any day of the week. Tempe is the perfect location for now and the future. It's a fairly central location for the entire valley, with a definite lean towards the rich East Valley, whose residents will now become reacclimated to the Coyotes after their Glendale exile.
Supposedly he's got a lawyer with $25,000 in a brown paper bag.
Follow the money.
What do you mean? Where?
Oh, I can't tell you that.
But you could tell me
No, I have to do this my way. You tell me what you know, and I'll confirm. I'll keep you in the right direction if I can, but that's all. Just follow the money.
So what are the long-term arena solutions for the Coyotes? Well, the most immediate solution would be make up with the city of Glendale and go back to Gila River. But honestly, that bridge is burnt. Glendale has been a proven failure financially, costing the organization and the NHL millions of dollars. Plus, the tension between the city and the team was and would continue to be a huge turnoff for fans, similar to an awkward family dinner.
Dear Lord, bless the food that's in front of us. Thank you, dear Lord, for all the family that is around the table. And dear Lord, please, I emphasize please, find Jesse a job come Monday morning. Amen.
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 Yeah.
Amen.
Real funny, Dad. Made me look like a stupid idiot in front of the whole family.
It wasn't funny. It was
you do this all the time.
I know.
Sarcasm makes me look stupid.
Okay.
What are you I'm not part of the family the way you act.
Oh boy.
I'm not part of the family? No. You don't act right, you're not part of the family.
Oh my God.
Oh! You threw a turkey at me? Don't pissed off.
Oh my Lord.
And you're filming? God! I'm so done! I'm so done! What's the matter? No! I'm done! I'm done! I'm done! Well, God. And you, I hope you got your great Thanksgiving video! What a great family this is! Piece of shit!
I'm thankful for it.
Fuck you!
Nah, fuck you. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, stadium solutions. The Yotes' original home in downtown Phoenix, now called the Footprint Center, could be an interesting option. The Coyotes spent their first 7 seasons in Phoenix at the America West Arena. But the building wasn't built with a hockey rink in mind, so it was crudely reconfigured for the Coyotes, which led to thousands of view-obstructed seats, including one of the sections behind one of the goals that overhung the glass, blocking the view of that goal from anyone in that section. So once the novelty of desert hockey wore off, so did the arena and its many flaws. However, the Footprint Center recently completed a $230 million renovation. But the Suns have directly stated that they have no interest in sharing the arena with the Coyotes. And I wouldn't put it past that prick Sarver if he went out of his way to make sure that that $230 million renovation made sure that the Footprint Center stayed non-compliant to hockey standards. And for those reasons, I don't think the Footprint Center is a viable spot for the Coyotes. Arizona's Veterans Memorial Coliseum. The Madhouse on McDowell. This one is pretty easy. No. I mean, maybe this could have been a temporary home if the Mullet Arena idea fell through, but the Coyotes just dropped $20 million into Mullet Arena to bring it up to NHL standards. To do that again for a nearly 60-year-old facility would be financially irresponsible. But that would be pretty on brand for the Coyotes, but again, no, it's not an option.
No thanks, I choose life.
The final and realistically the only option to keep the Coyotes in Arizona is with the brand new Tempe Arena. This proposal is the Tempe Entertainment District, a $1.7 billion endeavor, taking the arguably most underdeveloped part of Tempe, in which they will build 2 hotels, 1,600 residential units, and a hub for dining, shopping, and entertainment for the entire valley. With the crown jewel being a state-of-the-art 16,000-seat arena that the Coyotes would call home. Tempe City Council has already approved this proposal and is sending it to a special election for the Tempe residents in May 2023. I can't stress this enough. This is the last chance for the Coyotes. A rejected vote from the Tempe residents would be the kiss of death for Arizona hockey. This proposal seems to be a win-win for the Tempe residents and the Coyotes. The only real pushback the proposal has received is from Phoenix's Sky Harbor Airport, citing airplane noise and traffic would increase around the airport. Going so far as to send out flyers to Tempe, Scottsdale, and Phoenix residents that they might have to change flight patterns to accommodate this new arena proposal. Sky Harbor's fear-mongering campaign is already kicked off and is only going to ramp up the closer we get to this special election. But honestly, if I could speak directly to Sky Harbor right now, finish the construction on Terminal 3, which seemingly has been going on for like 10 years, before you start worrying about outside traffic. But hopefully the city of Tempe and Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport can come to an agreement to make sure this deal goes through. But that's where we stand with the Coyotes in Arizona in 2022. Hopefully this is more of a midlife crisis than a terminal disease. Arizona sports are trying to find an identity. Part of that process just takes time, especially in a city like Phoenix that has a lot of transplants that have allegiances to other cities. Due to more setbacks than I'd like to admit, the Coyotes are almost starting from scratch. But they need to keep moving forward. There's no more time for going backwards. Move forward, control what you can control, and you'll be fine. The Coyotes' history have led us to this point. Only time will tell if it's too late for the Coyotes. But if they can weather this shitstorm that has been the last 15 years, this fresh slate that they've been given might be exactly what this organization needs. But on the flip side, this organization and the fans of the Coyotes need to know that this franchise is hanging on by a thread. There is no more room for financial mistakes. We are on our 5th or 6th last chance. If you get a chance to go see the Coyotes play at Mullet, do it. The experience is something you will never experience in the NHL ever again, because this situation will never happen again. I don't wish this situation on any organization or their fan base. And I hope for the sake of Arizona sports, the Tempe Arena proposal passes and this ugly chapter of Coyotes history is put to an end. But until then, we will just have to wait and see. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Proud of you. This was a ton of fun putting together, getting to go to the game, editing the video and all that. And I have a ton more content planned for the end of this year and all of next year. So if you liked what you see, go ahead, subscribe. If you want to continue a conversation anywhere else on social media, all of my links are in the bio. And thanks.
Player!